Turismo was a simulator for the PS1 released in 1998, wanting to become the highest selling game for the console. I reviewed that game recently and will be making some comparisons between it and Gran Turismo 2. If you haven't already watched that video, I recommend you watch it before watching this one. Gran Turismo 2 was released at the end of 1999 in Japan and North America, in early 2000 for Europe and the rest of the world. This game has a lot more content than the original. The number of cars has increased from just over 170 to over 600, and the number of tracks has increased from 11 to 28. In fact, there is so much content that the game now comes on 2 discs, one for arcade mode and the other for Gran Turismo mode. Having to change discs just to play a different mode is a bit annoying, but this doesn't come on 3 discs. Arcade mode is relatively unchanged from the original, except the cars are now grouped by performance instead of make. Once you've picked a car, you are then given the option to select from 4 tracks. Wait, what? There's only 3 tracks? Are you joking? Why are there only 3 tracks when the original had 4 to start off with? I thought sequels were supposed to make a game better. What's even worse is that the only way to unlock more tracks is by getting licenses, which are on the other disc. Speaking of licenses, there are now 5 of them instead of 3, but I'll talk more on that later on. One thing that is good about arcade mode, however, is that you can now use the cars you have bought and modified in Gran Turismo mode, and use them to completely destroy your opponents. The handling in arcade mode is now the same as that in Gran Turismo mode, and while it makes it easy to transition between the 2 modes, it's lost the pick up and play factor that made the original arcade mode so enjoyable. Even so, I would say it was a step in the right direction. The handling is a lot more suited to the DualShock controller this time around, the steering input being more gradual and less switchy than the first game, which makes the cars a bit easier to control. Multiplayer hasn't really changed, with the exception of being able to use the cars from both memory cards, so you and a friend can see who has the better car. Time attack has been replaced with time trial, where you try and set the fastest time possible and are given an unlimited number of laps to achieve this. Rally events make a debut in this game and are playable in arcade mode, with a selection of different rally cars to choose from, but you only get 1 dirt track to begin with. So technically, there are 4 tracks to start off with in arcade mode. The events themselves are just time trials though, so you won't actually race against anybody unless you're playing multiplayer. Overall, I would say that arcade mode in this game feels more like an extension to the main Gran Turismo mode, rather than the standalone mode it was in the first game. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing depends on the user. Gran Turismo mode has gotten a lot bigger, thanks to all the extra content. There are tons of events and it will take you ages to get through all of them. Unfortunately though, there are now more licenses. 2 more than the first game to be exact. And the number of tests per license has increased from 8 to 10, resulting in 50 tests overall instead of 24. Was there really a need to double the number of tests? Half of the tests are repeated anyway, so what's the point? They can be really frustrating as well, because you fail a test by crashing, going off track or being too slow, which is infuriating on the harder tests. What makes it even more annoying is that some tests start instantly, but some don't. When it catches you out, it results in more restarts. I recommend just getting them all out of the way so you don't have to worry about them later in the game. Once again, you get 10,000 credits to buy your first car, so don't expect anything fancy, and this hand scanner will have to do for your first few races. Unfortunately, rubber banding has made a return to this game, which is really annoying. To add to the frustration, the AI has gotten a lot more aggressive as well, and won't hesitate to smash into you or even the wall if it means getting past you. It's almost as if the AI was designed to replicate Pastor Maldonado. That's not the only issue either. This game is unfinished. Firstly, Polyphony Digital forgot to add car restrictions, with the exception of powertrains. The only limit is horsepower. For example, you can enter the Wagon Club in a GTR. Secondly, it's actually physically impossible to achieve 100% completion in this game. The developer decides to remove some drag race events before the game's launch, but forgot to alter the percentage, making that elusive 100% completion impossible. Whenever you complete a race, you earn credits, and if you win the race, you normally unlock a car as well. The car you win is usually related to the type of race you have entered, such as winning a Mazda Demio in the Lightweight Cup, or a Nissan Stagea in the Wagon Cup. In later events, you can even unlock race cars, which can be sold for 250,000 credits, making a 50,000 credit race a 300,000 credit race. Winning race cars also makes the more difficult events more accessible, should you have a fast car to compete with. So that's all of the prize cars. Prize cars reduce the amount of grinding in the game, which makes Gran Turismo 2 much more enjoyable than the original. The dirt events are unfortunately just races against a single ghost car, which is a bit of a disappointment, as it would have been nice to be able to race against 5 cars like you do with normal events. Upgrades and tuning haven't changed from the predecessor, so expect to be upgrading your cars in order to win more races. There are quite a few fastest car in the game type cars, where once you obtain them you can pretty much dominate all the events with no horsepower limits. My personal preference is the Suzuki Scudo Pikes Peak, because not only can you win the Gran Turismo Championship, but also all of the dirt events, which helps with game completion. Overall, I give Gran Turismo 2 4 stars. A definite improvement over the first game in terms of handling and content, but unfortunately lacks that bit of polish, and not being able to complete the game, that prevents it from getting a higher rating. Despite this, Gran Turismo 2 is a must-have for anyone who owns a PlayStation, and has become a timeless classic in the racing game genre.